Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest crossroads we face in love is this: do I reach out or do I step back? When connection slips through our fingers, the instinct to chase feels natural. We think effort will bring certainty. But effort and chasing are not the same. Effort is mutual, chasing is one-sided. When we chase, we send a silent message. My value depends on your response. That message doesn't inspire closeness, it creates distance. Because nothing is less attractive than desperation masked as devotion. But silence, true, intentional silence, is often misunderstood. Silence is not punishment. Silence is self-respect. It's the moment you stop arguing for your worth. It's when you say, I am here, whole with or without your validation. In that space, something powerful happens. Clarity is born, not just for the other person, but for you. You begin to see what you were trying so hard not to lose may not have been giving you what you deserved in the first place. Here's what most don't realize. People don't return to pressure. They return to presence, to strength, to someone who didn't chase because they knew their value didn't need persuasion. So, which makes someone return, silence or chasing? Chasing may grab attention for a moment, but silence commands reflection. Chasing says, I need you to choose me. Silence says, I have already chosen myself. And in that quiet, confident space, if a heart is meant to return, it will. Not because it was hunted down, but because it finally recognized what it once took for granted. Self-worth over reaction highlights one of the most transformative principles in relationships. Understanding that your value is not dependent on someone's immediate attention or approval. When emotions run high and fear of losing someone creeps in, the impulse is often to react, send another message, seek reassurance, prove you care. But reacting from fear rarely creates connection, it creates confusion. True strength lies not in reacting, but in anchoring yourself in self-worth. Self-worth means recognizing that you are already complete, independent of how someone treats you. It means your happiness, identity, and peace are not negotiable or conditional upon another person's affection. When someone pulls away, the person grounded in self-worth doesn't automatically chase. Instead, they ask, is this situation reflecting my value or diminishing it? This question shifts the power dynamic. You are no longer pleading to be chosen. You are choosing how you deserve to be treated. Reacting, especially through chasing, may feel like taking control, but in reality, it's giving control away. It signals that your emotional state is at the mercy of someone else's decisions. Self-worth is the opposite. It is the calm confidence that says, I don't need to force what is meant for me. It doesn't beg, convince, or compete. It allows space. It allows truth to reveal itself. This is not about pride or playing games. It's about dignity. When you chase someone who is uncertain about you, you are subconsciously teaching them how to treat you. You are saying, I'll lower my standards if it means keeping you around. But when you hold your ground, you communicate something entirely different. I would love for you to stay, but I will never sacrifice my self-respect to make that happen. Ironically, it is this very posture, confidence without arrogance, grace without pursuit, that draws the right kind of attention. People are not magnetized by desperation. They are drawn to assurance. Emotional independence is deeply attractive because it shows you are with someone by choice, not by need. You are offering companionship, not dependency. Self-worth doesn't disconnect you from love. It connects you to a healthier version of it. It allows you to express care without clinging, interest without insecurity. You can show up, be present, communicate honestly, but never abandon yourself in the process. In essence, choosing self-worth over reaction shifts the core question from how do I make them stay to do they deserve a place in my life if they make me feel this way? That change in mindset is everything. It transforms relationships from a chase into a choice. It invites respect, not just romance. Because the truth is, if love requires you to lose yourself, it's not love, it's fear. And when fear leads, chasing follows. But when self-worth leads, respect follows. And where there is respect, the right relationship can grow. Silence is often misinterpreted as weakness or indifference, but in reality, it can be one of the most powerful responses when emotions are at stake. Silence is not about ignoring someone, it is about choosing not to contribute to chaos. It is the decision to pause instead of plead, to reflect instead of react. When someone pulls away or creates distance, reacting with panic often leads to chasing, over-explaining, or trying to force clarity. Silence, however, creates space for truth to surface, for emotions to settle, and for self-respect to remain intact. Silence says, I am not afraid to be with myself while you figure yourself out. It communicates confidence without a single word. It does not beg for closure or attention. It trusts that answers will reveal themselves, either through someone's return or through their absence. This kind of silence is not passive aggression. It is emotional discipline. It refuses to turn love into a negotiation. When we fill every gap with noise, messages, explanations, justifications, we deny the other person the chance to feel our absence. Silence gives them that space. It allows them to confront their own feelings without your reassurance constantly cushioning their uncertainty. In that quiet, they must ask themselves, do I truly miss this person, or did I simply enjoy being pursued? This question can only arise when silence replaces pursuit. Most importantly, silence protects dignity. It stops you from saying things you'll regret or offering love in places where it isn't being valued. Words can be twisted, efforts can be misunderstood, but silence, true, composed silence, cannot be misread. It is clear, it is firm. It says, I will not fight for a place in someone's life who is unsure if they want me there. Silence also serves you. It allows you to check in with yourself. Am I chasing validation or seeking connection? It gives you time to realign with your worth, to remember that your value does not rise or fall based on someone else's attention. This internal reset is crucial because without it, you risk mistaking attachment for love. There's a common fear that silence will make someone forget you. But the truth is, if silence makes them forget, chasing never would have made them stay. Real connections withstand space. Weak ones depend on constant reassurance. Silence reveals which one you're in. Silence is not about punishment. It is about poise. It is choosing peace over panic, reflection over reaction. It is the sound of self-respect. It doesn't attempt to pull someone back. It invites them to walk forward on their own. And if they do return, it won't be because you chased. It will be because your absence spoke louder than any words ever could. Chasing often begins with good intentions, wanting clarity, wanting connection, but quickly turns into an imbalance where one person is giving and the other is withdrawing. When you chase, you unknowingly shift the dynamic from mutual interest to pursuit and retreat. One person becomes the seeker, the other becomes the prize. And in that imbalance, respect quietly begins to fade. Chasing is fueled by fear, the fear of being forgotten, replaced, or unloved. That fear drives you to overextend, to send another message, to insist on being heard. But the more you chase, the more the other person feels pressured rather than inspired. Pressure does not create love, it creates avoidance. It turns a natural connection into a negotiation, where one person is trying to convince the other to feel something. The danger in chasing is not just in pushing someone away, but in what it communicates about your own self-worth. It tells the other person, I am willing to fight for a place in your life, even if you're not fighting for a place in mine. In doing so, you place your emotional power in their hands. You become reactive to their silence, dictated by their timing, dependent on their attention. True connection cannot grow in imbalance. When one person is always moving toward and the other is always pulling away, the relationship becomes a game of distance and pursuit. The more you chase, the more they feel they can drift. Why would they move closer when they know you'll keep coming after them? Chasing removes their need to choose you. It robs them of the chance to realize your value on their own. Beyond that, chasing often clouds judgment. You become so focused on winning them back that you stop asking the most important question, are they actually choosing me? You forget to evaluate whether their effort matches yours, whether their presence brings peace or confusion. In the pursuit of being wanted, you lose the clarity to see whether this connection is actually right for you. The truth is, love that needs to be chased is rarely love that will last. Real interest doesn't require convincing. Real attraction doesn't need constant pursuit. When someone genuinely values you, they move toward you. They initiate, they communicate, they make space, not distance. By refusing to chase, you invite balance back into the dynamic. You allow space for mutual effort. You make room for the other person to step up, to meet you halfway, or to step aside if they won't. And that is a powerful filter. Because someone who doesn't move toward you, when you stop chasing, was never truly yours to begin with. The irony is simple. What you chase often runs. What you embody, you attract. When you stop chasing and start standing in your worth, the right person doesn't need to be pursued. They feel drawn, not by desperation, but by the quiet strength of someone who knows their value. Space is often feared in relationships, as if distance automatically means disconnection. But in truth, space is one of the most essential elements for clarity. It is in the quiet gaps, when words are not exchanged and actions are not forced, that true feelings begin to surface. When someone steps back, the instinct may be to close the gap immediately, to reach out, to repair. Yet constant closeness can blur the very understanding both people need. Space allows perspective, and without perspective, emotional truth remains hidden. When you stop chasing and allow space, you give both yourself and the other person the gift of reflection. It becomes a moment to honestly ask, was I holding on out of love or out of fear? Was I giving or trying to prove something? These questions cannot be answered in the noise of constant communication. They require stillness. They require distance. For the other person, space becomes a mirror. Without your presence constantly reassuring them, they begin to feel what your absence means. Do they feel relieved, or do they feel the loss? Do they miss your energy, your presence, your support? These answers are impossible to reach when they know you'll always be there, waiting, chasing, ready to fill in the silence. Space invites them to make a choice rather than letting them rely on your pursuit. Space also protects emotional integrity. It prevents you from forcing a bond that may not be mutual. It ensures that if someone returns, it is out of genuine desire, not obligation or guilt. There's a significant difference between someone staying because you chased them and someone coming back because they realized life felt emptier without you. Moreover, space rebalances energy. When you step back, you reclaim your emotional power. You stop pouring into uncertainty and start investing in your own peace. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop convincing. You allow love to be voluntary, not coerced. This period of distance often reveals the truth that words alone cannot. Someone who truly values you will use that space to move closer. They will reach out. They will reflect and return, not because you demanded it, but because they chose it. On the other hand, someone who was only enjoying your pursuit will remain silent. That silence is painful, but it is also clarity. It shows you where you truly stand. It's important to understand that space is not manipulation. It is not a tactic to provoke a reaction. It's a boundary rooted in self-respect. It says, I am open to connection, but I refuse to chase it at the cost of my peace. It maintains dignity without diminishing emotion. In the end, space gives relationships the room to breathe. It allows both hearts to rediscover what is real and release what is forced. Only through that distance can appreciation grow, clarity form, and decisions be made with sincerity rather than fear. And if a bond is genuine, space does not break it, it strengthens it. When someone truly returns, it isn't because you chased them down with words or fought endlessly for their attention. It's because they recognized something valuable in your presence, something they could not find elsewhere. Respect, not pursuit, is what draws a person back with sincerity. When you choose dignity over desperation, you signal that love in your world is a privilege, not a guarantee. You are willing to give deeply, but never at the expense of your self-worth. Chasing may win temporary responses, but it rarely wins lasting commitment. It creates a dynamic where the other person holds the power, deciding when to engage and when to retreat while you wait, hoping to be chosen. But respect changes that dynamic entirely. When you step back with grace rather than chase with urgency, you show that your love does not operate through pressure. It is offered freely, but it must be reciprocated. This unspoken principle commands admiration. Respectful distance gives someone room to ask themselves, what was I really walking away from? In that reflection, they begin to see your consistency, your strength, your emotional maturity. They recall not the noise of arguments or persuasion, but the steady presence you offered, the peace you brought rather than the pursuit you withheld. People do not miss the one who begged to stay. They miss the one who stayed calm when they left. What makes someone return is not silence alone, but the kind of silence filled with self-respect. It's the quiet confidence that says, I care, but I will not chase. I love, but I will not lower my standards. I am open, but I am not waiting forever. This posture forces the other person to confront their own effort. They must now choose to return on their own terms or let go. And if they do return, it is no longer because you pulled them back. It's because they stepped forward. People are naturally drawn to what they respect. You cannot talk someone into valuing you. They must feel it, and they feel it most powerfully when you do not compromise yourself to keep them. Boundaries are magnetic. They separate true connection from convenience. When someone feels that your presence cannot be taken for granted, they start to appreciate it more. If a person returns after you've maintained your dignity, that return carries weight. It is no longer based on impulse or guilt. It is rooted in realization. They are not coming back to test you, but to choose you. And they are not responding to pressure, but to absence. And that kind of return is far more meaningful because it comes with a different intention, commitment, respect, and renewal. In love, it is tempting to believe that showing how hard we can fight for someone will make them stay. But more often, it is showing how gracefully we can let them go that brings them back. Respect does what chasing cannot. It inspires a voluntary return, not out of need, but out of recognition. Love is not proven through pursuit, but through presence, through the strength to care without clinging, and to feel deeply without losing yourself. Silence is not about giving up, it's about standing firm in your worth. Chasing may draw someone's attention, but only respect draws their heart. If someone returns, let it be because they saw your value in your absence, not because you begged for their presence. True connection doesn't require chasing. It requires two people who choose each other freely, clearly, and with mutual respect. And sometimes, the strongest message you can ever send is simply this: I know my worth, and I trust that the right person will know it too.